Welcome back to English Through Wisdom. I hope you learned something valuable from our last lesson. It is wonderful to have you here again today. In this video we will explore an old saying that changes how people see success and appearance. By the end you will understand its meaning deeply and learn new English words along the way. Imagine you find a shining coin lying on the street. You pick it up, excited, thinking your luck has changed. Later, under bright light, you discover it is not gold at all, just painted metal. Many of us have felt this same disappointment somewhere in life. A job that looked perfect turned out empty. A person who seemed wonderful turned out to be someone else entirely. A dream that shined brightly from far away lost its shine once we got close. There is an old saying that has survived for centuries because it explains this exact feeling perfectly. Let's discover its wisdom together. The proverb. The proverb we are exploring today is, "All that glitters is not gold." In simple pronunciation, it sounds like this: all that glitters is not gold, spoken slowly and clearly so every learner can follow along. In plain English, this means something that looks attractive, exciting or expensive on the outside is not always truly valuable or good underneath. A person, an object, an opportunity, or even a dream can shine brightly on the surface while hiding something empty or even harmful inside. This idea is very old. According to many literary historians, warnings about false appearances appear in ancient writings long before this exact wording existed. In medieval times, a similar idea was expressed in Latin texts to warn readers not to trust surface appearances alone. English literature made this idea famous over the centuries. Geoffrey Chaucer touched on this theme in his 14th-century writing. Later, William Shakespeare included a very similar line in his play The Merchant of Venice, where a character warns that glittering objects are not always gold underneath. Still later, the poet John Dryden is often credited with shaping the modern wording we use today, in the 17th century. Why does this proverb still matter now, hundreds of years later? Because human nature has not changed. We are still drawn to shiny job titles, expensive-looking products, charming personalities, and exciting opportunities. Social media has made this even more powerful, since curated photos and edited videos often show only the shine, never the substance underneath. This proverb reminds us to slow down, look closer, and judge value by what something truly is, not by how attractive it first appears. The story. Daniel had worked for 3 years at a small accounting office in London. His boss, Mr. Whitfield, was an old-fashioned man who believed in honesty, patience and careful work. The office was quiet, the furniture was old, and the pay was modest. But Daniel had learned everything he knew about numbers, integrity and hard work from that small room. One afternoon, Daniel received a message that changed everything. A company called Lumina Capital wanted to meet him. They were a new financial technology startup, and they had heard about his talent. The offer was almost unbelievable: triple his current salary, a private office with glass walls overlooking the river, a company car, and the promise of becoming a partner within 2 years. That evening, Daniel sat across from Mr. Whitfield and told him about the offer. Mr. Whitfield was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Son, I have seen many young men chase something shiny before checking what is actually inside it. Ask yourself, Why would a brand new company offer you 3 times your worth before even testing your work? Daniel laughed nervously. Maybe they simply recognize talent when they see it, he said. Mr. Whitfield did not argue further. He simply said, I will not stop you. But remember, real value rarely announces itself loudly. It usually stays quiet and proves itself slowly. Daniel could not sleep that night. In his mind, he saw the glass office, the car, the future everyone would admire. He handed in his resignation the very next morning. Lumina Capital felt like a dream at first. Everything gleamed, the marble floors, the modern screens showing rising numbers, the confident young executives walking briskly through the halls. Daniel's new manager, a charming man named Victor, praised him constantly and encouraged him to invest his own savings into the company's private fund, promising returns no bank could ever match. Within weeks, Daniel had placed almost everything he owned into that fund. He told himself it was simply smart thinking, since everyone around him seemed to be doing the same thing, and everyone seemed so certain, so successful, so shining. 3 months later, everything changed in a single morning. Daniel arrived at the office to find the glass doors locked. Confused employees stood outside, whispering, checking their phones, refreshing news pages with shaking hands. A financial journalist's report had gone public overnight, revealing that Lumina Capital's entire investment fund had been built on false numbers. There was no real profit, only new investors' money used to pay earlier investors, a structure collapsing under its own weight. Victor was nowhere to be found. His phone number no longer worked. The glamorous office that once gleamed under bright lights now sat behind police tape, empty and silent. Daniel stood on the pavement outside, his savings gone, his new job gone, his confidence shattered. Worse, because he had signed several client documents without fully understanding them, investigators wanted to question him about his role in the company. For weeks, Daniel lived with fear, shame and sleepless nights, wondering if his entire future had been destroyed by one shining offer he had chased too quickly. Eventually, after a long and painful investigation, Daniel was cleared of any wrongdoing. He had been misled, not guilty. But clearing his name did not restore his savings, his confidence, or the quiet respect he once had for himself. One rainy evening, Daniel found himself standing outside the small accounting office again, the same worn door, the same faded sign. He almost turned away, too embarrassed to face Mr. Whitfield after everything. But the door opened before he could leave. Mr. Whitfield looked at him for a long moment, then simply said, "You look like a man who has learned something the hard way. Come inside before you catch a cold." Daniel sat down, and for the first time in months, he told someone everything, the excitement, the mistake, the collapse, the fear. Mr. Whitfield listened patiently. When Daniel finished, the older man said, "Gold does not need to shine loudly to prove it is gold. It simply is. What you saw in that glass office was never gold, it was only the appearance of it." Daniel asked quietly if his old position was still available. Mr. Whitfield smiled, "The same worn-out desk in the corner is still empty. It never shined much, but it never lied to anyone either." Daniel returned to work the next morning, humbled, wiser, and grateful for something he once thought was too ordinary to value. Slowly, patiently, he rebuilt his savings, his confidence, and his understanding of what true worth actually looks like. Years later, when a younger colleague came to him excited about a job offer that sounded too good to be true, Daniel simply smiled and said, "Let's look a little closer before we decide it's gold." The moral lesson. In this story, Daniel was drawn towards something that appeared perfect on the surface: a shining office, a generous salary, and a confident manager. He ignored the quiet wisdom of someone who had already proven his honesty over many years, simply because that honesty did not come wrapped in excitement. This happened because Daniel judged value by appearance rather than by evidence. Lumina Capital looked successful, so he assumed it was successful. Victor sounded confident, so he assumed Victor was trustworthy. This is exactly the trap the proverb warns us about: mistaking glitter for gold. This story reflects the proverb directly. What glittered brightly, the office, the salary, the promises, was never actually valuable underneath. What seemed dull and ordinary, Mr. Whitfield's quiet honesty, turned out to be the only truly valuable thing in the entire story. This lesson applies powerfully to modern life. We see it in flashy job offers that ask for money up front, relationships that move impressively fast without real trust behind them, products marketed beautifully but built poorly, and social media lives that look perfect while hiding real struggle. Take a moment and reflect honestly. Have you ever chased something because it looked impressive, only to discover later it was empty inside? Have you ever overlooked someone or something quiet and steady, because it did not shine as brightly as something new? What would it look like, in your own life right now, to value substance over appearance, even if that choice feels less exciting? English lesson. Here are important words from today's story. Glamorous, an adjective describing something that looks exciting, attractive and impressive on the surface. Example: the glamorous office impressed Daniel immediately. Mentor, a noun meaning an experienced person who guides and teaches someone less experienced. Example: Mr. Whitfield had been Daniel's mentor for 3 years. Integrity, a noun meaning strong honesty and moral principles. Example: Mr. Whitfield built his business on integrity, not excitement. Resignation, a noun meaning a formal statement of leaving a job. Example: Daniel handed in his resignation the next morning. Confident, an adjective meaning sure of oneself or of something's success. Example: Victor seemed confident about the company's future. Investigation, a noun meaning an official examination of facts to discover the truth. Example: investigators opened an investigation into the company. Collapse, a verb meaning to suddenly fall apart or fail completely. Example: the entire company began to collapse within days. Humbled, an adjective meaning made to feel less proud after a difficult experience. Example: Daniel felt humbled after losing everything. Substance, a noun meaning the real, important or true quality of something, beyond its appearance. Example: the office had style but no real substance underneath. Steady, an adjective meaning reliable, calm and unlikely to change suddenly. Example: Mr. Whitfield offered a steady, honest kind of success. Rebuild, a verb meaning to build something again after it has been damaged or destroyed. Example: Daniel worked hard to rebuild his savings and his confidence. Wisdom, a noun meaning the quality of having experience, knowledge and good judgment. Example: Daniel finally understood his mentor's wisdom. Conclusion. Today we explored the proverb, "All that glitters is not gold." Through Daniel's story, we saw how easily we can be fooled by appearances, and how true value often hides in quiet, steady places we overlook. The final takeaway is simple: before you chase something because it shines, take a moment to look closer at what it truly is. If you enjoyed learning English through this ancient saying, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need this wisdom today. Kindly subscribe our channel. It will motivate us to provide more valuable videos for English learners. Until next time, keep learning English and keep collecting wisdom from around the world.